Hey everyone, welcome to the first ever edition of the Formula E Addicts podcast. I'm your host, Edward Hunter. I'm with Jack Pickering and Formula E Zone's Jack Giordmaina. And we're going to be talking about the 2014-15 season of Formula E that's just finished. We're going to be talking about the drivers, who's going where, who did well, who deserves to stay in, who doesn't. And we'll also be talking a little bit about next season, the calendar that's come out recently, and the manufacturers involved, and things that we really like and want to see continue in Formula E. So introduce yourself, guys.
Who's going first?
I'll go first then, since you offered. I'm Jack Giordmaina. Most of you will probably have seen the website Formula E Zone on the Facebook page and wherever through means of social media. So yeah, I'm the guy that gives you all the news.
Yeah, very good resource. Although occasional spelling errors, but you know, it comes.
Yeah, no, that I corrected that very quickly. I must admit that time.
Yeah, you were very punctual.
And I'm Jack Pickering, and when I went to Formula E on Sunday, I had never met these two, and by the time I was going home, I'd met both of them. So yeah.
Time you go home, you were sick of both of us.
Yeah.
I was ready for that.
And I'm Edward Hunter. I'm well, people just call me Ed. I'm a film editor, or trainee sort of film editor thing, and I joined the Formula E Addicts Facebook group halfway through the season, and I've been really enjoying my job, just sort of getting news across and sort of sometimes saying my opinion a bit stronger than I should be, perhaps, but yeah, but it's been a good experience for me, and I'm really enjoying it. And,
spontaneous host.
Yeah, and that's another. It was my idea to do the podcast, so I thought, why not host it? And that's what's happening right now. So anyway, let's go right into it. Let's talk about the season that's just ended, of that dramatic finale in Battersea Park, and also let's talk about the season as a whole. And I think it's been a really good season. There've been a lot of key moments that stand out. So Picko, do you want to list any?
Yeah. Okay. In terms of best races, one that comes straight to my mind is Buenos Aires, the one that happened right at the beginning of the year, not the season, the year.
It was the third race, wasn't it?
Third or fourth. Yeah. Jack?
Fourth race.
Thank you. But so yeah, it was fourth race season. It did take a while to get going, but unfortunately Chandhock crashed. But that made the whole race come alive, and it was just hectic from there on in, and confusion with safety cars and everything. That was probably the best, in my eyes. That was the best race this season. But in terms of key moments, I'd say Beijing. You had that final corner incident between Prost and Heidfeld, and especially in the final race. Well, in the final qualifying of the year, you had the great British weather.
Yeah, it really came into play.
And
the weather didn't want PK to win.
Yeah, and I believe Ed, you were sitting down at turn 13, and the rain was already coming down in the first part of qualifying. But where I was sitting over at turn between the two chicanes, I can't remember which turns, like 4, 5, and 6, 7, I think it was. Yeah. It didn't come down until the red flag came out after Saki Yamamoto crashed. And then all hell broke loose, and just like PK ended up 16th, Degrassi 11th, and Bohemian 6th. So yeah, I think that was one of the pivotal moments of the season. Yeah, Sarrazin on pole as well. I'm trying to think of other key moments. Degrassi being disqualified in Berlin, that really turned the championship on its head. The season has been phenomenal, though. It was just an absolutely fantastic inaugural season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And there was definitely a lot going on throughout the season. Very rarely a dull moment. So that's why it's very difficult to pick out just one key moment. Obviously, the Heidfeld Prost crash sticks out because this Beijing was a little bit of a. There was some good overtaking going on, but the circuit didn't really lend itself to amazing overtaking, and of course the crash itself is a pretty iconic set of images. You know, Heidfeld backflipping over the barrier, very dangerous looking, but thankfully he was fine. No one really got And there were never any really serious crashes in the. Well, I think Bruno started flying over the back of Daniel. Was it in Monaco at the start? I think that was pretty scary, but there are no other real.
Yeah.
I'd almost completely forget about it when I think Monaco's. I think, oh, that was really boring. Oh, wait again, didn't Bruno Senna fly like 20 meters into the air?
Poor Bruno.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jack, your thoughts on best moments?
Well, for me, I thought, obviously the season was outstanding in terms of action and in terms of everything that actually happened. My best race for me was the London, the second one, because I hadn't had that feeling of watching a race and, my heart was pounding, I was nervous, I had to stop everything that I was doing in the media centre because I was just glued to the screen. I couldn't write anything, I couldn't do anything, I just had to watch. And I loved that, and that's the bit in terms of, I know everyone compares Formula E to Formula 1, but I haven't had that in Formula 1 lately, apart from Silverstone, to be fair. In Silverstone I did get a little bit of that. But that was like, wow, I haven't experienced that since probably Canada in 2011, where I was just gripped to the screen in terms of racing. But my favourite race really was Punta del Este in Uruguay. I loved the location, I loved the car, I loved everything about it, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I really enjoyed the race. And with John-Eric Verne losing it at the last lap and on his debut race, I thought that was a really cool moment.
Well, not cool for John-Eric, of course.
But as in, it was a good rear. And Jack, you said that you hadn't had that feeling of actually being there at the second London E-Prix, despite you being there the day beforehand and in Berlin as well. So technically, you had the feeling of being there. It was the
championship decider. I mean, it was the same for me. I wasn't at the first race in London because I was at Goodwood
or Berlin,
and
I wasn't at Berlin.
I just can't afford to go to Berlin at the moment, being
a cash-strapped student. He did.
I know quite a lot of my mates.
By the way, I'm pointing at Jack Giordmaina's face on Skype. So yeah,
yes,
he did.
I did.
I can't see his face.
Very good.
But yeah, I think it's definitely good. I think the second race definitely sticks out for being the title decider, and I think it was also a race where Picko really showed his caliber. Because I have to admit, in the Facebook post, I'm not the most positive when it comes to Picko. Picko Junior, of course. But I always praised his performances, but I never really rate him as sort of personality-wise. He kind of put me off.
Honestly, I wasn't that big on Piqué going into the weekend, but at the driver signings, that's when I started to like Piqué because I gave because I gave all the drivers something meaningful to sign, and then I gave Nelson Piqué a pizza box to sign, and he dutifully signed it.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you to Nelson Piqué. That was
the thing that really changed my opinion of Piqué for me a little bit was
the pizza box.
Well, that obviously, but I think when I saw him at the Fansforum on Thursday, they had the little Fansforum at Planet Hollywood. Sam Bird, John-Eric Verne, Buemi, and Chandhock and Nelson Piqué Jr. went there. And Piqué Jr. was the only one who was sort of turned up outside of team clothes. He was sort of doing his best Clark Kent impression, I think, with the glasses and the polo shirt. But he just seemed really relaxed and not like I imagined him to be. I thought he'd be really grumpy and stuff, but he was just really, I didn't end up talking to him, directly, but I listened to what he had to say, and he just seemed like he seemed not nicer than I imagined he would be. So he won me over a little bit.
Thankfully I've had the pleasure of talking to Nelson Piqué Jr. and like what you said, I didn't expect, from Formula 1 and, how he's perceived. I got a big shock when I spoke to him for the first time in Monaco. And, he's such a cool, chill guy. You don't want to talk to him. When you have to talk
Monaco
to him,
as well.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I was in Monaco as well. So I spoke to him first in Monaco and so forth for the rest of the season apart from Moscow. But he's, he's very down to earth. He's got time to speak, especially when he won the championship. He could go on forever. But, you don't want to talk to him when he's annoyed. So when he was upset, first race in London, he wasn't in the best of mood. I tried to, cheer him up a little bit, but he wasn't too happy. He wasn't too happy in Berlin at all because it didn't go his way. The car wasn't suited to the track. So when things go wrong, he's a hard person to talk to. But when, you come into the beginning of the weekend or you just say hi, he always says hi. It's a really nice guy to be around, really. And it actually, it changed your perception of him a little bit. To be fair, we have these perceptions of what these people like. Like, loads of people have perceptions of Lewis Hamilton, they love or hate him. It's like Marmite, really. But until you actually see and meet the person for the first time, then you can make your assumptions on everybody.
I'm guessing that you met PK before Di Grassi was disqualified in Berlin. Then, because I think after he was disqualified, I think he might have been extremely happy.
I just returned to the hotel. So I was gutted. I just left the track about half an hour, and as soon as I got into the hotel, checked my phone, finally got internet access. Oh no, Lucas Di Grassi has been disqualified. I was like, why couldn't that happen while I was there? I spent 4 hours at the track after the race, and it came through at like 9 o'clock, so nearly 10 o'clock in Berlin. I was like, why now?
I know. Was it really that late?
Yeah, it was late. Well,
I thought it was like 6, 7-ish here.
Yeah. No, it was late. I wouldn't have known. I would have been at the track at that time.
Yeah, I came back from lunch and I found out. And I left and I saw that, because obviously his car ran out of juice, I think, just after, ran out of juice, you know what I mean, power.
I think it broke down.
It broke down just after he crossed the line. He was thinking, "Oh God, I was so lucky that I managed to didn't fail on me earlier." And then that comes through. I felt gutted for him because he hadn't put a foot wrong. Obviously, what I believe happened from what I've read from Hans.
I think it was more dominant than Sam Bird's win in Putrajaya.
Yeah. Well, I think the other dominant win this season was PK in Long Beach, where he led pretty much every lap.
Yeah, he was good.
Basically, Hans Jürgen said something like that the wing was damaged in transport, and obviously the races are spaced out really quite long, so they can ferry all the equipment over. And it sounds like something went wrong. Obviously, the wing got damaged, and so they had to make some repairs once it came to the track. And clearly, for whatever reason, there was no consultation with officials or anything until after the race, when they actually realised that the repairs that they'd made were not strictly legal, but had been done on, well, I guess you could argue safety grounds, so that the thing didn't fall apart during the race. But in long story short, just bad luck for Lucas.
Yeah, he was very, I spoke to him after London. He was very, he was looking at that moment as that was the pivotal point in the season where the championship had left him, and he was telling me that he disagreed with the team, that they should have appealed it, because Autosport app decided not to appeal the decision on the grounds of just being sporting.
Yeah.
But Di Grassi was fuming. He wanted to appeal it because he said it was very minor. He tried explaining it to me, but but he sort of stopped because he kind of didn't really understand why the hell he had been disqualified in the first place.
That was the thing that made the disqualification as well. It took a long time to come out, and we didn't really understand fully why.
And we had seen him on the podium already. At least they didn't have that with Stefan Sarazan in London, because if Stefan Sarazan had turned up on the podium, celebrated and everything, and then it ended up that he hadn't actually got the win, I think that would have been really. Venturi would have been really upset with that. They would have already been upset that they lost the win, but they would have been even more upset had they all done the celebrations on the podium and everything, and then they got disqualified like App did.
Yeah, I think Venturi knew in London straight away, because Sarazan, he didn't celebrate his win. They knew straight away that he was going to get disqualified, because he must have seen on the steering wheel that he'd gone over the energy. That was, as I've said, it was just a miscommunication. They thought he had enough energy to fight Sam Bird. He was told he was good on energy to fight, put it into this mode, and then the team went, "Oh no, you don't," and that's how they lost the win.
I think that's just the signature Venturi team's inexperience a little bit there, but it happens, and I'm sure they'll be stronger next season. Anyway, before we move on to the drivers, I want to talk a little bit about the TV spectacle. I'm not sure how much of it. Obviously, you're at the races, Jack, so you're probably not watching ITV very much. But in terms of, not just the ITV, but I also mean the sort of feed, the sort of camera angles that they've used to make the cars seem a bit. They definitely seem to have chosen for them, except for Monaco, I think.
Monaco races are always done by the host broadcaster in the Principality. Unlike all the races, it's the same with Formula 1, so they used all the same camera shots and everything.
It's easier to set up, of course, because you had the F1 Grand Prix a few weeks after.
Yeah. Formula E didn't want that. They didn't want those cameras because they knew that you had a direct comparison
just
to
make
Formula
them look.
So they didn't want that, but they couldn't do anything about it, basically. And in terms of camera angles, to be honest with you, there are some tracks that they do look, even at London, I thought some of the camera angles that they had, that the live feed used, not ITV per se, it's the live, how Formula E have set up the cameras, how Aurora Media, who supply all the images, have supplied. And some of them, you go through and think, wow, that's quick. Yeah, looking at
the chicanes are very good for those sort of shots. We get them whooshing through.
They're very good in terms of ITV's coverage. I've said really, apart from Alex Brundle, that I found it really poor. But it's ITV, and I don't want to slag ITV off too much. But they didn't for Formula One coverage. They didn't. When you look at how BBC went on to do Formula One coverage, you think, wow, look how much ITV we're missing out on. And when Sky stepped up the level, you think, oh my god, like ITV was in the Stone Ages. The only thing that I found a problem with Formula E is just ITV's coverage. I feel like they should have, once they got Beijing, the first couple of races out of the way, it was just too beginner guide. It was like, I know this, I don't need to watch. You're telling me stuff that you told me in round one.
To be honest, I think Jenny Gow was on point with what she was wearing every race. Not in terms of motorsport related, but I enjoyed it.
She was competent as well. I did meet her at the I didn't talk to her very much. I talked a lot more to Jack Nichols, the commentator, who I thought was a good job.
I want to meet Jack Nichols.
Hey, you can drop him an email. He's very nice, actually.
Dear Jack, can I have your job for next season?
No,
Cheers,
the reason I contacted him initially was because I was making this because in this video game where you can called Trackmania, where you can build your own tracks. I tried to build a version of the Battersea Park circuit, and I did a little lap on it. I was thinking, it would be really great if I could get Jack Nichols to commentate on it and make a little video of the track. And he said, I'd love to, but unfortunately my contract prevents me from. And I thought, stupid Edward, you should have remembered that. And but he said, it was really nice, and I got to talk to him a bit later on and just sort of introduce myself to him. In fact, I even saw him at London as well, just before qualifying on the Sunday, because I was in the schools paddock, which is in the centre of the park. It's all just around that the bandstand. And Jack actually came running through. He must have been running late for something. And I sort of gave him a few words of encouragement, like go on, get to the commentary box and all that, and sort of And he just seems like a really nice guy. So he gets a thumbs up from me. And Dario's not bad either.
Jack and Dario is probably my favourite commentary pairing that I've commentary this season. I've really enjoyed it there, and they get on well together, which is good.
To be honest, Dario breaking his leg in IndyCar was probably the best thing that could have happened for ITV.
Yeah,
because otherwise it'd just be Jack on his own, maybe with Mike Conway.
With Mike Conway. Mike was okay, but it's not as good as Jack and Dario.
I feel Mike should be driving the cars, to be honest.
Well, he did have a contract with Dragon at the beginning of the year, but then Oriol Servia stepped in.
Yeah, so ITV's coverage, I think, we know it needs to be improved, less beginner stuff. Presenters are okay, but they're not being all used effective, except Alex Brundle, who's very good.
I think he should be driving cars next year. I think he's that enthusiastic about it. I wouldn't be surprised if he was talking to one of the teams, so can I have a go? I'm surprised he hasn't had a go yet.
I did actually see Alex Brundle trying to get into the track on the Saturday morning. He came out of a taxi with 4 different shirts to whichever he was going to wear that day on ITV, and he came up to my gate and he was on the phone just and he was more or less like, where do I go? And he stayed on the phone, which is unfortunate because I really wanted to have a picture with him, but he retained on the phone the whole time, which was annoying. But still.
I wonder who he's on the phone to then. Maybe his dad getting a few tips before he went live. It's like, Dad, how do I win awards? Not on ITV, son.
But one thing that I'm not that keen on Alex Brundleford is when he talks, his eyes sort of pop out a bit, and it's a bit scary. Yeah. No offense to Alex if you comment.
He's got no offense on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I really
listening.
like you,
he's
Alex.
Very upset with you, Pico.
We love you, really.
He's listening in right now. Yeah, I wish. Anyway,
I wish, yeah.
So we really need
Give
to
us
move on to
ITV contacts,
now.
Alex.
It's weird because I actually sent a job application to Aurora Media. I haven't heard back from them, so now I'm definitely not going to hear back from them. Anyway,
sorry.
So, so the drivers. We talked a little bit about Piquet Jr., Buemi, and Di Grassi. Do we feel that right man won this season? I think it's pretty. In terms of on track, it's pretty difficult to argue.
On track, I think. I think if we take out the disqualified win, which I think Di Grassi didn't deserve that. It was modified, but slightly. But it was modified that gave no gains whatsoever. So
yeah, the Sportline team aren't stupid. They wouldn't deliberately cheat and think, "Oh, we can get away with this."
And so I think had the disqualification not happened, I think he would have won by something like 13 points in the championship. So
yeah, something like that.
So yeah. I think he deserves
the bigger league
but
might approach the rounds a bit differently.
I think Di Grassi deserves it, but to be honest, well done to Piquet Jr. for just being there, picking up the points, and well done to Sebastian Buemi as well. But from what I heard from one of my friends, Jodie, she saw Buemi after the race, and Buemi looked really, really sad and.
Crestfallen was the word, I believe.
And I quote from Jodie, "I wanted to go give him a cuddle."
Oh yes.
So
well, it's also because Jodie's like decked out in all the Mahindra gear with the big Brazilian and Indian flag she likes to wave around.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jodie's a great super fan, giving us that insight. Yeah. And
she's neighbours with Karun Chandhock, so she knows how to get around the paddock.
Yeah.
So.
Around the world as well, in terms of.
That's a good thing about the series, that really ordinary Joe public like us can really have a much stronger connection than if the drivers like shut away in the paddock the whole time. We sort of, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but we kind of have this. It's a little easier to sort of have a bit more of a personal connection, basically.
Yeah, with the driver's autograph session, you get that chance if you're lucky enough, if you're ready to miss qualifying and get in the queue before anybody else. Because those queues are long. I feel like when you see there's only a 15-minute session and you look at the queue and it stretches like half a mile long, and you're like, I'll just give up if you're at the back. Just give up. You're not going to get anywhere near.
Yeah, we're trying to basically trying to get to the other side of the fan village, and we have to go right through that little line, huge line rather. But anyway, going back to the drivers. I think it's not just about the title contenders. I want to talk a little bit about the substitute drivers that were brought in mid-season, maybe for a couple of rounds. Which ones made a good impression on you?
Yeah, as you said, a couple of rounds. We can't really say Jean-Eric Vergne because he substituted for Frank Montani because he went high but he was there for the rest of the season, so we can't really say Montani. But what one person a couple of people that do come to mind is Speed and Ollie Turvey, because Ollie Turvey did both rounds in London and both got 2 points in that race, in those races, and Scott Speed he did 4 rounds of the season from Miami through to Berlin, and Scott Speed, it was only his only points finish of the season, but he got a second place in Miami. So yeah, I think those two are up there for me. I'm not sure about anyone else in that bit, but yeah.
I think what was it? I think Liuzzi, I think he did a decent job for the Trulli team, and he came in for his 2 rounds. I liked Oliver Turvey. He was a great person to talk to as well, and he was on it, and to come in at the last round of the season, basically, and to be on it, everyone knows the car.
He played a crucial role as well. He played a crucial role in helping Piquet win the championship, which a couple of people online were very angry because obviously they didn't want Piquet to win. They said, "Oh, Turvey let him through. Turvey basically helped him cheat." And team orders aren't illegal, and he made it very clear that he was there to help Nelson Piquet Jr. and he would do what he had to. If Piquet had a chance to win the championship, he wouldn't get in the way.
That's what they all would have done the same. Nico Prost told me that if there was a way he could have nearly had a way to help Sebastian Buemi win the championship, then he said he'd do it. If that means he had to let him pass, if he had to try and overtake someone, he said he'd do his best to try and do it. And Prost was in that position. If he did get him past Piquet, he could have stopped everything. But obviously that didn't happen. But so Prost said to me early in that weekend that he would. Turvey said, of course, if there's an opportunity where Piquet needs to go through to give the position, if Daniel Abt had to do the same for Lucas Di Grassi, they all would have done the same. You would have seen that in Formula 1, you would see that in touring cars, you'd see that anywhere in racing. I don't think that's a weird thing. When people say that's cheating, it's just not. It's just what happens.
Yeah,
it's just like an unwritten rule.
I think a lot of people, because Turvey was also saying a lot of stuff about that he was trying to get a drive for next season, so I think people would have been more expecting him not to, be a pushover and let Piquet through. They would have been expecting him to try and get the best result possible. But of course, he needs to build a good relationship with the China racing team, so he can't just get in Piquet's way.
And another driver who came in for the final 2 rounds with Andretti, and also one of the few female drivers on the grid, Simona Di Silvestro. She got 11th place in Saturday's race and 12th in Sunday's race, and so I think and that was a good showing from Di Silvestro there.
Yeah, Simona said that she didn't. She said that she didn't quite feel she got the best result that she could have got, and obviously I was there on Sunday morning. She had did she have an accident at the final chicane in practice or something? I definitely remember she had to stop.
Her
car was recovered.
I think it was turn 14. Where.
So Simona was on the back foot basically.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing the highlights now. Yeah, that happened.
And of course, in qualifying, she got a little caught out by the rain in the second race as well. So, I think she was just behind Di Grassi in the wet qualifying session, and Di Grassi was pretty of the people who got stuck in the really heavy rain. He was probably one of the best guys, and I think she did a respectable job, and hopefully we'll see a bit more of her because she did actually beat Geraint Verne in the second race as well.
Yes, but Verne had a penalty.
Verne had a penalty. Yeah.
Well, she still beat. She didn't get the penalty.
Technically,
herself.
she did. Yeah.
Technically, she did, but it was helped by the penalty.
Yeah, you can tell I'm a Simona fan here, just desperately trying to
plug.
And I don't blame you. She does have a very nice rack.
Oh, Jack.
The other two, there are 2 other female drivers in the season as well, but they didn't get. They weren't there at the end, of course, but they didn't make a. Is it fair to say they didn't make quite as big an impression as Simona?
I think that's justified.
I technically agree. I think Trulli did improve a lot. Leg was only in for the first 2 races, and she was caught up in a couple of collisions. Trulli did improve for the Trulli team, but then I don't know why. I think it was just. I don't think she wanted to do it anymore. I think
Trulli was the best looking of the female drivers. So.
She was also the oldest.
Was she?
If that's yeah, she's like, she's got like a family and everything. But she, from what I heard, it was for personal reasons.
Yeah,
and a couple of weeks later, she ended up in VLN.
Silvestro 26.
Just Wikipedia pages.
28. Leg 34. No, Leg is the oldest at 34.
All right. Okay. Well,
I'm just checking.
Oh, she's second oldest.
Yeah, second oldest. Yeah.
Anyway, so are there any drivers, finally, before we move on to the next season, any drivers you'd like to see make the switch to Formula E, or which of the substitutes you'd like to see get a full-time drive? I think obviously Turvey stands out as one who might have a chance to get a full-time drive.
And Di Silvestro, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I'd also throw into the fray. I've heard Guido van der Gaard is in talks with some teams. John Lancaster is in there as well. I believe De La Rosa did a test with Amlin Aguri. No, not Amlin. Team Aguri now, as we're supposed to call them. Amlin's gone.
They're apparently sponsoring someone else.
Can we call them Super Aguri again, please? Cause
they
are technically Super Aguri, but
they are Super Aguri.
Their name is not Super Aguri's. They could have put their name as Super Aguri, but
that isn't the official name of the team running it. SAFE, Super Aguri Formula E.
Yes, technically, yes.
So we can just call them that if you want.
Safe.
Yeah, they're called Team Aguri for
now. It's interesting, safe, because they are playing it quite safe in terms of the powertrain, keeping it the same for next season.
Oh, nice slide. Well done.
Oh yes,
well done.
I was really. So moving on from the drivers, I think it's really time to talk about next season. Oh, do you want to say something, Jack?
Well, I was just going to... So we'll start with next season, then we'll talk about Amlin Aguri and their powertrain. And I understand what Mark Preston said.
The late Amlin Aguri.
Yeah. Sorry, the now Team Aguri. I understand, why they want to go just keep it simple, not buy somebody else's one, keep with Spark, because, there's not much development and so. But I do think they'll fall behind. I don't think it's a good decision. I think they will become the back... Well... They'll be racing with Trulli, because the Trulli team, they won't be doing any testing until pre-season tests. So their car won't hit the track until pre-season testing. So they're not going through all the installation phases that teams are going through now. So, but because Spark will build a good package, but I think the teams have got people behind them. Virgin with Citroen, Andretti have got many partners, which I'll get onto later, that are helping them out. Next EV, look at the difference that they've made in China for coming in halfway through the season when they make a full package car. In terms of, it's all about efficiency next year, because yes, you've got the battery power is going to stay exactly the same. So, the charge rate in terms of how quickly it loses battery, it's going to be exactly the same, but we can run at 170 kilowatts next year. So the cars have got they've got basically, whoever will win next season will have a car that's the most efficient. So we'll be able to run at 170 kilowatts for longer without draining the battery. If teams can do that, then they're going to win. And at the moment, with how everything's going, I wouldn't be surprised if Andretti or Next EV would become the top two. I think obviously Audi will be there and Renault will be there with EDAMS, but from what I'm seeing at early stages, Next EV looks strong, and Andretti, they look strong with what they're doing behind the scenes. So I wouldn't count them two out.
Yeah.
Going back to Aguri, I believe one of the reasons they've said is in terms of cost saving, it's a lot more cost efficient for them not to spend money on the first season development, keep the money, and then make a bigger improvement for the 16-17 season.
Amlin, look, this is all the money that you gave us. We're going to delay the cost that we use this for. We're coming to get you.
With whichever team you side with, unless it's Next EV or Andretti.
Well, they said that there'll be a team that hasn't won a race, and with Mahindra seem to... I can't see. Well, Mahindra apparently are splitting with Carling, which apparently happened quite a while ago. That was
already.
Sorry, hang on. With Andretti Autosport, if they do, it'll be Amlin Andretti Autosport. I can't say that.
I doubt that will happen. They've got too many technical partners that are already in the name anyway, so I doubt the Amlin will be going there.
Yeah, just in terms of tongue twisters, they want to avoid that, I guess.
A lot of A's there. Good use of alliteration, though.
It would be, just to keep they have to go with the team with the first letter A.
Triple A's. Yes, that is the batteries that they'll be using for their engines next year.
Ooh.
No, I'm joking.
That'd be quite good. Triple A's, I'd like to call them that. Just if that did happen.
Yeah, I just want to talk about Venturi and Trulli, because Venturi, obviously, we know they're doing a couple of electric land speed record runs, and I recently that Venturi decided to sort of cease production on electric vehicles just so they could focus on Formula E. I think. Well, that was the long and short of the article, I think. And Trulli, of course, run by Drayson Racing, which is the team that's headed up by Lord Drayson that's contested Le Mans several times in some of the lower classes.
I think that's rather close to me, Drayson Racing.
Yeah. My point is they both got very high electric credentials and history, so I was wondering, is that is that going to help them or not, or is that sort of by the by, and they don't have manufacturer support, so that's what's holding them back?
Well, technically, the Trulli team have that Moto. I can't say it's an Italian thing, Moto Matia, something like that.
Motomatica. I've got it in front of me. I got it in front of me.
That is Trulli's manufacturer, technically working with the next season alongside with Racing Technologies. Although production is slow, they've got the powertrain on the dyno back home in Donington, but that's just running on the dyno, which teams have done miles before. So as I said, they're not doing any installation runs, which we've seen Team Aguri do, we've seen Next EV do, we've Andretti have done it for months. Apt have started. Teams have started. Venturi started on the Thursday before the London E-Prix. So teams have already been getting that phase of just does it work out of the way, whereas Trulli haven't done that yet, despite having a manufacturer, despite having Racing Technologies there. They're a little bit behind the game, so that's why I think they're only a small team, and and they're a great team. The people, they're well motivated. There's a great sense of this will improve soon. It's just Trulli's basically taken George Racing's idea of running a team from the pits, a bit like Honda's thing for Brawn. He's taken it from the bottom, no staff, had to find staff, had to find and fill an operation, and keep it within decent fun. So the team's really small. So in terms of getting that car onto the track is difficult for them because they don't have as much manpower as maybe the likes of Andretti and Audi Sport Apt have. So it's going to be difficult for them. They need to they're just a small team in Formula E. I know it's technically the cars are all same and similar in power and in terms of and speed, but because they're small in terms of developing and thinking of ways to find better ways to run the car, they're behind the people that have more brain power, basically, behind the team.
Yeah. So in that context, it's very impressive that Trulli can get a pole at a place like Berlin. And although it didn't work out in the race, it turned out too much energy consumption really just let him down there. It's still a good achievement for such a small team that's not got the same investment or the same amount of people working for them.
Well, one thing that I'm wondering about the team next year is will Trulli, I think Jarno Trulli's going to become the team principal of that team and then actually hire 2 other drivers to do
I'm not so sure,
what he was doing.
I'm not so sure, Picko. I mean, the Trulli train, it just keeps on going. Nothing stops this train.
I know, but I think...
And chicane's better.
I think maybe he... Because he did say that he was considering... I can't remember when, but he did say that he was considering hiring 2 other people to do the driving and just him just managing the team instead. And so,
he does enjoy racing. Don't get me wrong. He still loves it. And speaking to him in London, he's still considering it. I think he might do some of the testing, and if he feels that the car might improve, he might stick around. I have a feeling that he won't. He didn't tell me, basically. I don't know what to say really with Jarno. I think he will be there. I can't see many. I think, well, in terms of who they get, the Fontana thing, which was interesting for me, it was a last minute. He got a phone call.
He said
Thursday morning.
Like, I was eating Cheerios and I got the call to drive Formula E, and I thought, why not?
Yeah.
He lives like 3 miles down the road from me, Fontana.
Yeah.
It's strange that he was sort of basically an outsider to the team. It's drafted in because Liuzzi couldn't be there and they got no one else.
The thing is, because they left it so late, I was surprised that they left it so late. Now, obviously, I realised they couldn't find anybody. And I was like, I was really intrigued because I thought they've left it forever. And I didn't realise, I thought, they're struggling with negotiating or maybe finding someone, which they eventually did. They couldn't find someone.
I think the problem was that a lot of the drivers that they might have tried to get first might have already got plans down in Goodwood. So they couldn't do both. And so they they went to Goodwood.
Yeah. I was smallly praying for Fisichella because when Jarno got Liuzzi and I thought another Italian, another friend from the Formula One world, I was like, here we go. It's going to be Giancarlo. It's going to be a big announcement. That's why I've left it so long. Big announcement, Giancarlo Fisichella.
I think we've been talking a lot about Trulli, and I kind of meant for that to just be a small bit. So it's great to hear about it, but I think I wanted to talk a little bit about moving away from a spec series and turning it into, develop their own powertrains, and eventually it's going to move into, in future years, it's going to be develop their own bodywork kits or all the rest of it, I guess, that's left on the car. Do you think that's a positive step, or do you think that that's going seemingly kind of more, less predictable competitive order is going to become a bit more predictable?
I think it'll make it. I think it'll make it. It'll make that Formula E will have some sort of hierarchy, which I'm not completely sure on whether that's good, because we've seen how that sort of worked out in Formula 1. And Formula 1 is I've started to lose touch with it. But the thing is, I think maybe the development thing will make it a hierarchy like it is in Formula 1. It will make it a bit more competitive to see who can put the more effort in to try and get it. But it will separate the top teams from the midfield teams and the smaller teams. So. I'm not completely sure on whether that's a fantastic thing or a terrible thing.
What do you think, Jack?
I think it has to happen in a way, though. As much as we've had some great racing this year in terms of developing the powertrain. We can't just keep, if the people have got money to invest in it and they want to make this sustainable and they want it to go into road cars, if they've got money to within the cost cap, if they can hit the limit of the cost cap, because there is a cost cap.
Yeah, that's true as well.
That teams can have, if they can fund more money into it and fund more brain power from their own team, so that so maybe employ more people like the big teams have done, so they can get a faster car. Then technically, yes, that's what they're going to do. That evolution of it becoming like Formula 1 is going to take a couple of years, because we're only taking, in terms of evolution at the moment, it is baby steps. We are taking baby steps. So it's not going to be too much. So it should still be pretty tight, and we could still find some, track specific, because Berlin, when we go to Berlin next year, that is a track specific, that's a car specific track. Because if your car is not set up for that, then your weekend is non-existent. That's what happened to Next EV. Their car is not set up for Berlin.
I think
that's why they struggled so far.
I think Trulli had been set up for the Berlin track for every race this season, to be honest. I think it was set up in Beijing, and they just rolled with it for every race of the season until they got to Berlin. Then they're like, we're on pole, and then it all sort of catastrophically fell apart. But I will give kudos to the Trulli team, because they did do a fantastic job for the first half of the day in Berlin. So
And Jarno really rocked those shorts as well.
Yeah. Oh, he does. Tell me about it. He was always walking them in the paddock. The speed technically was there in Moscow as well. Don't forget that. They had some. Trulli was up there. Liuzzi was quick. He got caught up in the first lap incident, which cost him. So the speed did carry over, not as quick, but it did sort of carry over.
And we can't forget Punta del Este, where Trulli finished fourth, of course.
Yes, of course. They had speed. It's just whether or not the car was set up, they had trouble finding it, and they always had energy management problems. It's the thing.
And that was a common theme as well. We heard a lot of the teams that don't look at the results and take that as gospel, because we're better than the results suggest. We had that from Mahindra team boss Dilbag Gill said words to that effect, and I was wondering if he was saying that sort of genuinely because they were better than the results, or because in light of the Campos Carlin split thing that was going on, he was just trying to save a bit of face there. Maybe
he's got a point, and I agree with him. I spoke to him in London. And he said to me, look, we had the pace at the beginning of the season. We had the quickest car in a qualifying spec, which they did. Go back to Beijing, Senna was fastest.
In
Senna
the first ever session.
Yeah, Senna was fastest. He was fastest in practice too. Couldn't put the lap together in qualifying. And, cost him in the race. He was quick.
But Karun started fourth. Karun started fourth in Beijing.
And then going back, so then they had the lull in the mid-spell, and then obviously in London, Senna's there finishing fourth again. Fifth technically, but with Sarrazan's penalty, he finished in fourth. So they had the speed. What their problem was qualifying. They had no idea how to...
And of course, it's all street tracks. There's no guaranteed passes if you've qualified by the back.
They had no idea. Then they will show me that, Senna was like, look, if you look at our lap times, we're lapping at the same pace as Degrassi and people up front, but we can't qualify. He said, we don't know. Karun Chandhock had problems with the brakes. He told me that, the brakes are all over the place in the car. He said, I put the brakes on, and he doesn't know what's going to happen. He said, because there's 3 factors in braking in Formula E. You've got the regen, you've got his force, and then you've got the brake balance. There's those 3 elements, and he said he was putting the brakes on, and he felt like, he couldn't do it. And I told that to Dilbag, and he told me, look, they went through, in the simulator, they tried so many things to try and get his braking perfect to him to have a feeling, they coached him, they did so many things to try and get the thing. He also sort of, hint blame at the drivers, because he said, look, we have a setup that was quick at the beginning, but the drivers dictate the setup of the car. And we sort of went away in qualifying, and they're the ones that feel it and then tell the engineers, and then suddenly we're off the pace. And so he said, look, we're here, but we're listening to what they're saying, their feedback. But then he said, if we go wrong with the setup, we don't, it takes ages to get back on course. So, that means the whole weekend, the whole day is ruined, basically, for Mahindra. So that was what he was hinting at with me. Karun is a good driver, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Karun is very good, and he is quick. We can see that.
He's a nice guy as well. I mean, he's
unbelievably nice guy.
And he was throwing out the cats. The cats. He was throwing out the hats. He was throwing out the hats to the crowd.
He's such a nice guy. He hates felines.
I got confused with hats and crowds, so I was gonna say he was throwing out the cats into the howd. So yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Sorry.
Him and Brahma were throwing a lot of the team caps out, and it's obviously is his cap as well, so it's got his number on it and everything. Anyway, let's talk a little bit. Because one thing we really need to talk about before we end is the 2015-16 calendar, which was released a few days ago.
The London E-Prix is the only date that we don't know at the moment. I'm just going to run you
through
the
calendar.
Except
for the mystery race.
Yeah.
I believe is Mexico City, according to the rumours.
Jack will know, not that he'll tell us, but still. Beijing is the first race on October the 17th. Putrajaya is on the 7th November. Punta del Este is the 19th December. Buenos Aires 6th of February. Jack, what's the 5th race?
It should be Mexico.
It is Mexico City. Okay. Yeah. On the 19th of March, Long Beach on the 2nd of April, Paris on the 23rd of April, Germany on the 21st of April, Moscow on the 4th of June. I did that earlier as well. And then the London E-Prix, it's not going to be the same date as it was this year because the British Grand Prix is being held on that date. But the date is still yet to be confirmed.
There's a few interesting things I'd like to point out with the calendar. Once, also, I did say it should be Mexico. I have everything to believe that Mexico should have been confirmed, and I have no idea. They must have hit some sort of negotiating bug. Mexico, even in Berlin, I was speaking to Alejandro Gag, and he said, look, if I was to have a pretty good guess at the calendar, he told me, and I was obviously talking about Mexico, that it would be on the calendar. And he said, obviously I know a lot more, but he said if I was to have a good guess, he said those Paris and Mexico would be the ones on the calendar, hence why I've reported it endlessly. But now I'm feeling like, okay, so something else could happen. Formally always say that, if they can find somebody, so like with Miami is not happening because, and Miami could still be this round 5 race if Mexico doesn't happen. They basically, it's a system, because Miami was so hard, they wanted to find a more effective and efficient system to get in and out of the city. But if they couldn't find that, then they couldn't go back because the track wasn't ready in time, closing the roads, the amount of traffic they caused, it was just too difficult.
I thought it would be something to do because they were very late starting up on the Saturday morning.
They had to delay practice by until 1 hour, 1 hour
it was like 2
before
hours
qualifying. And because I said, okay, we'll get going now. No, there's another half an hour delay. Now, no. And then they finally got it in. They finally got a 30-minute session in about an hour before qualifying. But the thing is, after Miami, I heard you might have reported this as well, Jack. I honestly can't remember that Miami was going to be on the calendar for the next 5 years. So I'm So
It wasn't me. I didn't report it. I don't report such nonsense.
Okay. Someone.
Formula E rumor mill going out of control.
So, someone said Miami was going to be on there for the next 5 seasons. So I was very surprised when.
I wouldn't be surprised. I definitely think Agag said we'd be back at Miami at some point. Well, he wanted to go back to Miami anyway.
Well, then again, it's Miami.
Yeah.
It's a very nice place to be.
They had problems with the Miami track because they wanted to use something, but then they were told, no, you can't use that. So it was by the Amsterdam, they wanted to use the car park.
I wonder if the Miami track...
There was some event happening in that place where the car park was. And because of that event, they couldn't use the car parks. Therefore, they had to come up with a completely different route for the race. There's another two things which actually concerned me a little bit when I saw the calendar. Technically, Punta del Este and Buenos Aires are not confirmed.
Yeah, that's true.
They are not confirmed, which I think will still go. But I found that interesting that they stayed on the calendar. This race is not confirmed. If you saw, they had the two little asterisks. If you read the key, it said to be confirmed. So I thought that's interesting. I can see they've already happened, so I can see it happening again. But I thought that's a little bit cause of concern. They're going into pre-season testing. We're still not sure if that race is going to be confirmed. If we're going to go there, that caused a little bit of concern to me.
I'm not sure if I'm not sure if Miami had this or not. If that's any effect on the race, I'm pretty sure it isn't. It's just exclusive to Battersea Park. But there's this protest group that have been hindering the event and moaning about how it's like been destroying the park and sort of, it's like really basically moaning that they don't like having to go through all the diggers and stuff and really tough.
You two live in London. Can you please go down to them and punch them in the face?
Really, I was
useful.
They had a meeting on Friday actually, and I was thinking of I was thinking of going in sort of Formula E gear and seeing how they reacted because they were just doing some public meeting or something where they were going to get a counsellor in or whatever.
Anyway, so. Just to keep up with Wandsworth, who are the borough, basically the council of Battersea Park, they were there, obviously, because they should be there for the thing. They were getting a tour around the paddock, and they were very happy with what was going on and how things were progressing. And
did you see Boris Johnson driving the Formula E car?
Yeah, I did see Boris Johnson driving the Formula E car.
I wanted to see him, but he did it on a different day.
How did they fit him in?
Oh, he squeezed in pretty neatly. He did squeeze in.
Just
he
about.
Got in. But he drove unbelievably slowly. But when I was there, it was complete contrast to what,
the protesters.
What the protests were saying. Like on the Thursday, I was just there, with my pass, walking the track, and people on their bikes, and because they saw the pass, they asked me questions. And they were all, can I still buy tickets? How much are they? I said, they're pretty expensive now. I said, if you want a ticket, you have to, they obviously formally put out that blue ticket thing. So
the £8 one,
Yeah, in the E-Village, but I said, you're not going to see much of it. So I said, you might as well watch it at home, to be honest with
Jack,
you, in front of your own TV.
But
they were all happy about Formula E.
Yeah.
Okay, didn't you? You told me on the day that you ended up watching most of Sunday. You couldn't get a good view.
Yeah,
you ended up going to the village and watching most of it on the TV.
Oh yeah, and that was more or less the same what happened with Saturday as well. Because I watched I watched FP1 from turn 13 on the Saturday, which is where I was supposed to sit there, and I thought, okay, this 1 hour 30 minutes till FP2. What I'll do is I'll just look around, try and find it, and then I found the E-Village. I had no idea where I was. I was just walking around Battersea Park aimlessly. Found the E-Village, and I just stayed there for the rest of the day. So to be honest, I think I could have just bought an E-Village. The E-Village was absolutely fantastic though, and just to top it off, a bit of Georgie Ainsley there as well. So. It's a shame that she's married now, but yeah.
So Jack, was the E-Village like that in the other Formula E venues you went to? Because I had a friend who went to Moscow. He said it was pretty top job.
Monaco was the paddock so when you see the Formula One paddock, that was the E Village. So fans, it was really weird.
Okay.
I thought this was my section of the paddock. And
going into the inner sanctum.
I was doing interviews in the driver's pen, and I'm fighting fans for autographs and pictures, and they're budging me out of the way, like, go away, I want to see Bruno Senna or whatever. So that I thought it was interesting, but I loved it. It was great atmosphere in Monaco. You had your race simulators, but it was all down basically the area which you're behind bars in. If you go to the Monaco Grand Prix, you could walk along and you could go into the Renault facility, play some Scalextrics, have a look at the car. You could go and do the race simulators. I don't know, but the queues for that are unbelievable.
Yeah.
I managed to get
electric ones is they always give kids priority, which makes sense. I'm not quite young enough.
Berlin was a bit different, actually. The E-Village was just around the outside of the circuit. It wasn't like a sort of section like in Monaco, or it was just around the outside because there was no really section to put it in. You couldn't put it within the track.
Yeah, didn't they end up? I heard a story they were doing autographs over the check-in counter.
Yeah, they did the check. Yeah, so over the old check-in counters, so they all had basically.
Right then, Lucas. Here's my baggage.
Here's my passport.
Sign it.
I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah, so that's what they did. So that was sort of the outer section where you'd go in. Where it said Berlin Tempelhof and you'd go in that shady bit. It was sort of all laid out along there. So it was sort of like a long section. But it was still nice. There were still lots of people around there.
Thinking about the E-Village, one thing that I did just about refrain from doing is go down that massive inflatable slide.
I
really wanted to do that, but I did just.
I wanted to do that as well. I said to my mate, do you want to go down? He said to me, we're not 5. I was like, oh.
I would have gone down. I would have gone down with you, mate. But the thing is that I was in that queue. Had you hung around for a bit longer, then we could have just gone down.
I went around. I just wanted to see the whole place. So I spent a fair bit of time in E-Village, but I took one look at the bouncy cars that I really don't want to get in the way of these kids. And we've been talking for a while now, so I think it's pretty much time to wrap things up. It's been really great to have you both here, especially you, Jack, because
this has pretty much turned out to be 3 guys just talk randomly about their events and other stuff about Formula E. It hasn't been like proper podcast.
So okay, finally, let's list. I want you guys to list one aspect that you think could be improved upon or should change in the future.
Jack, you go first.
Ooh, one aspect to improve. The swapping drivers thing is something I want to improve. Some people agree, some people don't agree. I just think it's confusing for the fans, and it's not good for the championship because if people drop out, then you don't have a proper championship where everyone's been there since day one. Because then you could look at Oliver Turvey and if he was here from day one, he could have won the championship with that performance. But if we could cap how many teams sign drivers like they do in Formula One.
Andretti.
With Andretti, basically, because the story's going to go out tomorrow. They have a family of drivers, obviously, because Andretti Autosport's in many sports.
Oh, they have Marco as well, who did most.
So they have so many drivers. So basically, the first season they wanted one full driver, which was supposed to be Frank, which then became Jean-Eric Verne, and then they were going to alternate between That was the plan. It wasn't because they didn't. That was the plan. But for the second season, they want 2 solid drivers for the season. They don't want to switch. They just gave everybody a go to see what it was like, if they liked it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Andretti signed someone who wants to have a go at it full term, basically.
Maybe a Justin Wilson, maybe.
For next season. They wanted to have Justin in the car for London, but there was a clash.
With Pikes Peak, he ended up driving a LMP car they were trying to take out Pikes Peak. And that thing was so unreliable anyway, I don't know why Justin went for it.
That thing came up quite late in the day, so that's why...
Good for Simona, of course.
That's why they got Simona in, because she hadn't done it yet. There was something... Marco was supposed to do another race. He wasn't supposed to just do the one. He was supposed to do Miami. But because of the new aero kits that came into IndyCar and the new testing with that, he was pulled away. And so that's why Andre with the driver swapping, they wanted to do it. Basically, that was the plan.
There was a reason behind every swap. They didn't do it.
Yeah. They didn't do it because, here we go. They're not all random drivers.
I think the idea after Scott's performance was to try and keep him in the car for the rest of the season once they tried out the drive. So they tried out the drivers, and then they found Scott, and Scott did a good performance in Miami because Scott was there for the longest out of the 6 drivers that went into the second seat there. Scott was there for 4 races, whilst you had Charles Pic, who was there for 1, Matty Brabham, who was there for 2.
Oh, I felt sorry for Matty Brabham.
And and Punta del Este,
when he was crying in the barrier. Yeah.
And then you had Marco Andretti, who did Buenos Aires. Then you had Scott Speed, who did Miami all the way through to Berlin. And then you had Justin Wilson, who was in Moscow. Then you had Simona Di Silvestro in the final 2 races. So, yeah.
Okay. What do you change then, Pico?
Right then. Now I shall dig out my list of 10,000. No, I'm joking.
Can we just do one? Because we need to wrap
I think the layout of the sessions wasn't that great, and I didn't really like qualifying because you saw in London how it would be biased towards one session instead of the other. So if you take Q1 and Q3, that would be different. I think if they adopted a MotoGP style layout for that one, so you had the top drivers in practice, and then but instead you have 3 segments. So you have bottom 8, and then the top 2 get promoted to Q2, and then the middle 8. And then the top 2 get promoted to Q3. Then you have the big 8 going out for the title.
I think it has to be 5 at a time though, because of they don't want to crowd the tracks too much.
I know. But having 8 instead of 20 is still better.
Yeah, I guess so.
But also I'd like to change the layout as well, because I had to get up at 5:30 and 6 o'clock respectively on both days when I went to Battersea Park, and I was not amused one bit about them.
Yeah, there's a lot of gaps between the sessions.
I think they should start FP1 at 9 o'clock and then just have only a little gap between FP1 and FP2, and then have a slightly bigger gap between FP2 and qualifying, then have only a slightly smaller gap between qualifying and the race, because they've still got to recharge the cars and everything. But next season, I think it'll be slightly easier. So, yeah, layout. I'd say layout would be one thing that I'd change, but that's pretty much it for me. I know that I've gone on for years on years, but yeah. That's
okay. I'd rather you went on and on rather than just, struggle to get a word out.
You do know that we've been doing this for 1 hour 26 minutes now.
Okay, so fine. I'll pack up.
Yeah.
I'll do my answer. And the thing that I would like to change is fan boost. I think eVoot should be scrapped completely. But I do know why people like it, so if it is going to be kept,
I do like it.
It will be kept, sadly.
I think it should be kept, but it should be like I think it should
the same drivers.
It shouldn't be as biased, and not the same drivers every single race.
So
which
I
we
think
saw
if you
with
get
PK
it like
and Senna and that lot for a lot of races.
I think there should be a quota, like if you either if you get it in one round, for the round after you're ineligible, or they get it so you can only get it a certain amount of times in the season, because if PK just gets it all the time, it will just drive me insane.
Was there I'm going to look it up now. Was there a race that
and John O'Verne got it in pretty much every, I think all but 2 rounds all but 2 or 3 he got it.
So Jean-Eric Verne got it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He got it in the first 5 he was in, but didn't get it for the rest of the season. PK got it from Long Beach all the way through to the end of the season, and he didn't get it before.
Yeah. All the PK fans really came out of the woodworks there. Yeah, but I just think the fan base, the concept of it, I don't really agree with, just sort of favouring one driver over the other just because they're the most popular. But I know the advantage it gives them isn't really that great. It doesn't ruin the race by any means of the imagination, but I really don't see the point. I think there are better ways to engage with the fans I can't think of any right now, but I really want to wrap this podcast up.
Well, to be honest, I think Mahindra did a bloody good job, especially in London.
Making competitions that are tailored to me.
Yeah, because Bruno Senna was such a nice guy. He was like, "All right, mate." When I gave him something to sign, and we had a little conversation going. Yeah. I can't do his accent. Jesus.
It's very deep.
And Karun was there throwing hats out to the crowd. So yeah. I think Mahindra have got. I think Mahindra after I think the London fans, whoever went to London, I think they've got the fan boost nailed from everyone who went to the E-Prix there. Hopefully.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said earlier, guys, it's been a real pleasure doing this, but it's gone on way too long. It's time to end it.
It's time to start the editing edge.
Yes, of course.
No. Sorry.
I'm editing that part out. Yeah, so anyway, if you want to find out more about us as people, as also, finding out about Formula E news and everything, check out Formula E Addicts Facebook page, as well as our Twitter page, which is @FE Addicts. You can keep track of Formula E Zone, who also have their Facebook, well, they don't also have a Twitter page, not Facebook, but they do have their own website, which I guess is also very good.
We have our own Twitter handles as well.
Yeah, we do. I did explain that. Right. Our own individual ones.
Yeah.
I'm @EdwardJHunter, and Jack is... you tell him, Jack.
Yeah, you go first, Jack.
Oh, okay. Well, obviously @Formula E Zone is the main one. I'd rather you follow that one than me.
Yeah.
And Jack Giordmaina is me. I don't really tweet that often. I'm not very good at Twitter. I'm only using Twitter.
Same here. I only joined it.
I only use it for Formula E Zone. That's where my tweets go.
Yeah.
Praise me.
I'm at Picko Motorsport, and I'm better than these two at tweeting combined, and actually tweet way too much. I think people got pissed off at my live tweeting of Eurovision. So, yeah. But
you're good at live tweeting the races, though.
Yeah. I do that for Formula E Addicts, so you can give me credit for that.
Yeah, the vice becomes a virtue. So all that remains to me is thanks to our two lovely guests, the two Jacks.
Lovely?
Really? Yeah. I really think you came across well.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and hopefully we can see you next time if you're available. Maybe we can get a few more special guests in, if one or two if you can't make it. And really want to get people involved. Right, we thought the podcast.
Jack, try and get someone big from Formula E.
Well, I doubt we're going to get Chandhock to come in. He doesn't want to hear from me.
I'm sure Chandhock will be fine. I'll try and get Jody on the case as well.
All right. Jody would be great. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, thanks everyone for listening in and taking part. And hopefully we'll hear from you in the next podcast.
Okay. Right, cheers, everyone.
That's all that really remains.
Goodbye.
Yes. Bye.